You start.
To be or not to be?
That is the question.
Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or
to take arms against a sea of troubles, and by opposing, end them.
Acting!
And scene. If you've ever seen a Shakespeare play, or the Shakespeare play Hamlet, you may know the scene that we were just quoting from. Hamlet is very famous. I had the joy of going to the Globe Theatre in London one time and got to stand in the audience. Now, why are we talking about theater today for our advanced weekly update? Well, Peter and I share many things in common. One of them is a love for theater. We both worked in the theater for a number of years. Peter, especially in Broadway,
close to
in
Broadway.
New York City.
Yes, yeah. in New York City. I didn't actually make it to Broadway, but I made it to Off-Broadway, which is basically a smaller theater. The tickets are almost as expensive, but it is not literally on a Broadway stage. There's Broadway, Off-Broadway, and even off-Broadway, or independent theater, as they call it nowadays.
Yes. Broadway is the name of the street. Actually, a lot of towns in America have a Broadway street. Broadway means a wide or broad way or street. Hi, Steve. Hi, B. Hello, everybody. Let's jump into our poll question. Do you enjoy Broadway shows? You know, the Phantom of the Opera was here in Taipei City not too long ago, I think. I know The Lion King is one that I saw. Sure. There are a lot of great musicals. Hamilton, that rap musical, was really popular. Yeah. I know it's on a lot of streaming services now. Looks like most people enjoy Broadway shows. Are you actually watching a Broadway show right now? I don't know how you could do both. But.
Yes, well, maybe some of us have a Broadway soundtrack, a recording of the songs from the show playing in the background while you're practicing your English.
There you go. It's actually a great way to practice English, to listen to music. I want to teach an expression that you can use in life. The show must go on. Now, I also want to hear, what do you like about theater shows? So that's our question today. What is it that you enjoy about them? One thing that I love about theater shows is the danger. And by that I mean, because it's a live event, if something goes wrong, somebody has to fix it, right? I was in a show one time where
you can't just yell cut and do another take, like if you're making a movie or a TV show.
If you forget your lines, you forget
Live theater, you just keep going.
One time, I was in a sword fighting scene, and somebody's sword got knocked into the audience, like into the first row. And thankfully, a helpful audience member, put it back up on the stage. Yes. Another time, I was in another play where I was supposed to get murdered, and the lady who's supposed to stab me actually stabbed me with a prop knife that was actually made of metal. She was supposed to stab me under the arm, and kind of upstage behind where the audience couldn't see. Right, but she stabbed me right in the chest. And so you never know.
It's a miracle he's here today.
Yeah, praise the Lord. So theater can be very exciting, and it's always a little bit different. So every night is very special. Yeah, what do you like?
Just to be clear, when we say danger, we're not talking about accidentally getting stabbed. That's an extreme example. We just mean the way it has to keep going, the way it's happening here and now, and there's an energy to that. There's an excitement, and danger is a way of thinking about it. But we're not saying that theater is dangerous and you shouldn't do it or anything like that.
Well, there was a famous American president, Abraham Lincoln, who was assassinated by an actor.
Another extreme
in
example.
The theater. I'm just saying,
Yes, yes.
Hi, Steve. You say Miss Saigon, the famous musical, I believe about the Vietnam War, is coming to Taiwan. Interesting. I've never seen that musical. Yeah, there's a famous song from that I'm having a hard time placing. Let's talk for a second about the difference between a musical and a straight play, as we call them, a straight play, and an opera for just a second. Hi, B. You say, Steve, you say, I remember when I was in Singapore, you and your classmates singing on stage. It's called Go Marching In. Interesting. And it was a great play I enjoyed with them. Neat. So it sounds like you did some studies maybe even in theater in Singapore. Tell us more. B, are shows in a theater more interactive with the audiences?
Good question.
Yeah, I would say, and normally, by the way, we say audience, just the audience if it's for one show. You can say multiple audiences in different locations, but audience is a singular. And
generally speaking, they can be, but not necessarily. Some shows will deliberately, will by design, interact with the audience more and have some back and forth, usually for comedy purposes. But not necessarily. Sometimes a show is just being done live and they don't acknowledge the audience. They don't break the fourth wall, as they say. There's a wall on here, another one here, one behind the actors, and then a fourth wall separating the world of the stage from the audience. And
the imaginary wall.
Right, the imaginary wall. And sometimes we'll talk about breaking that fourth wall when the actors directly address the audience and kind of break the illusion of theater. They do that in movies and TV sometimes too, when they talk directly to the camera like we're doing.
That's right. We're breaking the fourth wall right now. Oh,
right.
The fourth wall. Interesting. Okay, so let's talk really quick about a musical versus a straight play. We know that a musical, there's singing. We call that the score of the play. And then there are straight plays that have no singing, except for singing that might, actually happen in real life,
right. If a character
like
sings a song, but it's not a song that advances the story.
It's not a breaking into song. We call it, when someone just begins singing and everyone goes along with it. Finally, there's something called an opera. And an opera comes from the word operandi in Latin or Italian. It means all the works. And an opera is singing, costumes. It's basically a musical, but it's at a higher level, kind of, at least historically. So sometimes we talk about musicals as operas or like a rock opera.
Yeah.
So the line between opera and musical is more of an artistic kind of choice.
Yeah. Opera is usually more about the emotion of the characters and the story than about telling the story. It's more about the emotion, the feeling, rather than what happens next.
That's right.
What's going to happen to the characters. That's more what happens in musical theater, or like he said, straight drama where there is no music or singing. There, it's more about the characters, their situation, what are they going to do, what's going to happen. And because you have that in opera too, but it's just not really the emphasis. It's not the main point. The main point is the emotions of the conflicts of the characters.
So sometimes you might say that like a TV show is very operatic, like a soap opera. A soap opera is like a K-drama, right? It would be a sort of a soap opera.
Right. In fact, the great science fiction movie Star Wars is often still called a space opera.
Space opera, very cool.
Because it's more about, it's almost telling an operatic story,
Interesting.
But it's set in space. And so you'll hear that sometimes. Not so much these days anymore, but when I was growing up, we would sometimes hear that expression, it's a space opera.
Cool. Yeah, I've heard that one too.
Yeah.
A space opera. Well, let's talk a little bit about theater, opera or non. There's a term called, sometimes we hear the word spotlight. You could say the spotlight is on the political figure after the scandal. Everyone's looking at him. A spotlight is a light you can adjust to light a certain spot on the stage. There's also this term, the limelight. And limelight means all the lights together. I don't know exactly where the part lime comes from.
Yeah, I don't know how it got associated with limes.
But
I like a lime from time to time, but they don't generate light. Limes, lemons, apples, it's strange.
Yeah, so the limelight, though, means like a public attention in a general way. You could say, oh, wow, Bob really loves the limelight. When the news interviewed him, you could tell he was really enjoying the limelight. So that means sort of the attention. I think of it kind of like the lighting from underneath on a stage. I'm not 100% sure if that's where it comes from.
It's a little more friendly than the spotlight. When you're in the spotlight, it's kind of like, oh, you're up against the wall and you're all by yourself, and what are you going to do?
Like it or not.
When you're in the limelight, it's like you're enjoying the adulation, the respect, the admiration of the public, and it's a good, warm kind of feeling.
Yeah, generally a good thing. We have a couple other phrases that are useful in everyday English. One of them is about curtains in the theater. And what normally the curtain call is when the curtains have closed, actors come out and bow. That's a curtain call. But there's a phrase we use. You could say, oh, wow, it's curtains for me. Or it was curtains for his career when he had the scandal, or something like that. Right. So curtains means the end. When the curtain closes. You know what a curtain is, right? They're on the windows.
Because in theater, traditionally, when the show was over, the curtains would cover the stage. They would close or they would fall to separate the stage from the audience and say, the play is over now, and that's it. It's curtains.
Sometimes we use the phrase curtains like for a political wall. We talked about the Iron Curtain. I think that was separating kind of the
Iron Curtain, right? The Soviet Union and the countries they control from the rest of Europe.
Couldn't communicate because there's a curtain.
Got a comment from Steve.
Limelight is the same as, publicity, basically. That is a good synonym. Steve, you used to study in Singapore, and then one of your teachers was teaching how to do a play. I think everyone should do plays.
Yes, or at least one play.
At least one.
Lives. Yeah,
and then
to know what it's like to get up on stage, make believe you're someone else, feel the audience, just do it once, then go off and be a dentist if you want, or be a lawyer or something else. Do one play, though.
Yeah, I think it's a good part of a well-rounded education to do a little bit, even if you're not a triple threat. Now, here's another term, a triple threat. We talked about musical singers, right? And a lot of actors these days are triple threats. What does that mean?
Triple threat. Yeah, well, it's funny because a threat is usually a bad thing. Like, I'm going to threaten John if he doesn't do something for me, I'm going to hit him. That's a threat. But a triple threat in theater is someone who is a very good actor, a very good dancer, and a very good singer.
That's right.
Not all actors are equally good at all three things.
Not all singers can dance or act.
Exactly.
Not all dancers can sing. Not all dancers can act.
But every now and then, you get an actor who is equally good at acting, singing, and dancing. He's a triple threat.
Yes.
3.
Agatha, you make a good point. Children do pretend play every day. It's true.
That's it. Theater people are just children who decided to make money off of it.
Or try. It's hard to make money in theater. But I do think that having your imagination is a big part of theater. Another part is just being able to stay calm under pressure of being in public. At least in the US, I read a statistic that public speaking is the #1 fear. I bet it's pretty close in Taiwan too.
There's a famous actress, I forget her name for the moment, but she gave a great short definition of theater, what it's like. She said, it's like standing in front of a lot of people naked and turning around slowly.
Okay. Moving on. So now there are different kinds of actors. There are leading man and a leading lady. So you say the lead. You could say he was the lead in a movie.
Right.
Yeah. And so that means the person who's the main character, right?
Yeah.
The lead. There's also this term called a supporting actor. If you watch the Oscars, you'll see the category for Best Supporting Actress, Best Supporting Actor, right? If something supports something else, it means it lifts it up, right?
Right. Usually it's also another way of saying a smaller part.
Right.
But it's more accurate to say a supporting actor or actress because they do support the leading man or the leading lady and help them tell the story, help them look good, and a good leading man or leading lady will also help his supporting players look good in turn. It's a mutual thing.
Yeah. There's also something called a cameo, C-A-M-E-O, cameo, and that means to show up just for a little bit. Sometimes a movie will have a cameo where a famous person comes in and just says, "Hi, what time is it?" and then leaves, right? They play a little tiny role. That's not a supporting role. It's just a miniature one. Let's do 2 more terms here. To chew the furniture and to be a ham, okay? I'm really curious. I'm gonna put up these vocabs here in the comments below. Be a ham, chew the furniture. Can you guess what those means? You have 1 minute. In the meantime, let's go back to our poll here. Do you enjoy Broadway shows? We have yes and mildly. So mildly, by the way, if some of you don't know, mildly means
not as much as yes, excitement, but I still enjoy it, but mild. It's just it's like a little lower energy.
Yeah, we use that word for hot sauce, don't we?
That's true.
There's hot sauce, there's super hot, and then there's mild, which means pretty meh, okay, not bad, a little bit.
Yeah.
So some people mildly enjoy it. Protagonist, the same I learned from Studio Classroom Basic. Okay, yes, the protagonist. Protagonist is a really good one. You'll see the word protagonist in a lot of literature examination.
Right,
So
and the leading man is usually, or lady, is usually the protagonist.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
vice versa.
Okay, let's see. So someone is actually watching a Broadway show now. They're watching a Broadway show now. Good for you. I'd also love to hear your favorite Broadway shows, those of you who are just now joining us. Okay, to chew the furniture. To chew the furniture.
Now this one is new. I actually been in the theater many years. I don't know. I don't think I know this one.
Yeah. Do you know what this means? We have two there in the comments. Be a ham and chew the furniture. Let's start with be a ham. Okay.
Oh, be a ham.
If I say you're such a ham.
Yeah.
What do I mean?
That means someone who's an
Peter
actor off stage as well as on stage.
Yeah.
Someone who is always very dramatic and very drawing the attention to themselves, and it's not that bad a thing. It's kind of a teasing kind of remark to make. It's not like a deep sin of some sort. But, you know, their hams always need the spotlight on them is the thing. And, you know, sometimes that can overshadow other people in a not so good way.
Yeah, it could be, I feel like I'm a ham. You know, I just try to like, you know. Yeah. And so it can be annoying sometimes. So be careful. Don't always be a ham. But if you say to ham it up would be another way to say that.
Right.
Oh, you really hammed it up. It means to kind of put on an extra funny attitude. So it's not like good acting, you know, where it's just very like natural, but being a ham is like, you know,
it's like
silly.
Deliberate exaggeration.
Yeah. Jim Carrey is a definition of like being a ham. He's also a very talented actor, but he's like a ham. He also does something called chewing the furniture. Okay, if I say, you know, the leading man was chewing the furniture, I mean, he was going out on stage.
Yeah.
And basically, chewing the furniture is when you like add every little thing you can to the performance. You know, every single prop you pick up, you're saying, wow, you know, just making a big deal. Doing it kind of refers to like doing everything you can to be a ham, to get attention.
I have heard of this before.
Yeah.
I heard it as chewing the scenery.
Oh, there you go. Okay, chewing, I think I might have got the vocab wrong here. Chewing the scenery is a better one.
Right.
Chewing
I've heard that before, and it means overacting.
There we go.
Too much.
Steve, hi. Your favorite Phantom of the Opera. Great music in that one. I hope one day I'll have the chance to watch that in the future. I've never seen it live either. B, to ham it up. Very good.
David Morton.
David Morton, Jekyll and Hyde. Jekyll and Hyde. I need to hear the music from that one.
This is the moment. That's all I know. From Jekyll and Hyde. No, that's the big song from Jekyll and Hyde.
That's wonderful. Antagonist and protagonist. Yeah, there you go. The antagonist or the villain, and the protagonist, the main character. That's wonderful. All right, looks like one of you mentioned Studio Classroom, and on that note, this will be my last week for a while on the advanced live stream. I love and miss you guys. I'm going to be one of the hosts on Studio Classroom later in the fall, so I've got to get prepped for that. But I will really miss you guys. If you want to learn more advanced English in person, at my church, Daja Gospel Church, I teach a Saturday Bible study. It's very advanced English. It's pretty much all in English. We're learning really high-level terms. Do you know what justification by grace means, for example? Look it up. So if you want to in person come, it's a free class. We've got coffee and snacks. You can Google Daja Gospel Church Saturdays at 10 o'clock. I'd love to see you there. I've met at least one of our dear students there. Thank you for making it out. B, I will miss you too, and I'm sure this is not the last time I'll see you guys. Steve, thank you also. Thank you. And we really do love you guys. Peter will, of course, still be here, hamming it up as always.
This is the moment.
He's a triple threat, guys. He's a triple threat. Woo! Dance. All right. Well, we appreciate you guys.